I want you to look at this. This is a steam engine I designed in Blender in order to fulfill my summer project to make a power station. So in order to make a power station, you need a steam engine to convert heat energy into electrical energy. And so I have to finish this project before the summer ends because I do not have all the tools needed to make this in my college dorm. I have 30 days left in order to fully make a steam engine. So this video, I'm gonna explain the exact design about how I made my steam engine. We have half the parts already in. And the scary thing about this is if I messed up a single calculation on a crucial part, my steam engine can become a steam bomb. And that's because this high pressurized steam that I'm using for my engine, if it cracks or does something it's not supposed to do, it can blow up literally the metal shards in the steam engine. So we have to make sure this calculation is perfect. And if it's not, then we cannot operate at maximum efficiency at maximum pressure. So let me explain how I made this steam engine in detail. So first, let's answer a few questions. What is a steam engine? How does a steam engine work? And how can we time a steam engine perfectly? A steam engine simply converts steam into useful work. So that could be electrical power, mechanical work, etc. So how do we do this? We have to get a boiler. We have to heat up water in order to make steam. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna have a container with water. We're gonna heat it up. When we heat it up past its boiling point, it's going to become steam. Steam takes up significantly more volume than water. So as the water begins to boil and more steam is produced, the pressure is going to skyrocket. And that's because the volume of our container stays the same, but more steam is being produced. And the more steam being produced means the more volume it wants to take up. And since our volume is not changing, it's staying the same, the pressure is going to increase. So we need to make a little hole in our boiler in order for the steam to exit. And what's gonna happen is the steam's gonna exit that hole and then we can direct it to our engine. So now we're looking at our engine. Our engine is composed of two elements, the power piston and the timing piston, okay? And then we have two sections within our power piston. We have the A section and the B section. So what's gonna happen is this. The steam from our boiler is going to enter the timing piston in the center. So when the timing piston is at maximum, forward placement like this, the steam will enter the timing piston and it's going to enter the power piston in section A. And then the steam is going to expand in that power piston because it wants to expand because its pressure is so high and it's going to push that piston backwards. And then the air that was trapped in section B can leave the steam engine through the other half of the valve pit or the timing piston. And then when the timing piston is moved all the way backwards, the air, the steam going through the center is going to then travel into section B and it's going to expand, pulling the piston forward. And the air trapped in section A can successfully leave through the other half of the timing piston. And so the timing piston, as you can see, simply controls when the steam enters section A or section B of the power piston. And the power piston simply captures the energy from the steam from our boiler. And so these two work in sync in order to give us power. And so the way we time this perfectly is we have the timing piston is always 90 degrees behind the power piston. And this keeps the timing in check to make sure everything lines up accurately without using any electronics. And so let's talk about how I made these parts for the steam piston. But this video is sponsored by Justway. So I got all of my parts through Justway, and you should too. That's because Justway offered me this very precise CNC steam piston and timing piston that I need for my project. That's because the tolerances on our steam engine are so tight in order not to let steam escape through the wrong holes. So I had to get it CNC'd, and I got mine through Justway. And you should too. They have great customer service because I I literally changed my design probably about 8 times while making this steam engine, and they helped me through it. And so if you want to make your own steam piston, or you want to make some other mechanical project, get your CNC parts through Justway. They also have other services that they provide too, like 3D printing and etc. But I decided to go with their CNC route. So thank you, Justway, for sponsoring this part of the video. And so now let's talk about the parts I got for the steam piston. And my piston and timing piston are made of aluminum. That's because aluminum is super strong and it's super lightweight, which allows me to make a very strong piston. And we don't want the piston to be heavy because it's constantly changing directions. So if it's too heavy, it'll be very hard for it to change directions. And then finally, the cylinder that the piston's going to be in is made of brass. And that's because brass is made of copper, which allows us to solder brass to other brass components. Because I can't weld, and I'm sure you can't either, so we cannot weld our metal together, but we can solder it together. And so that's why I chose brass for the cylinders. And then the crankshaft and the other parts, I'm not too sure what they're going to be made of yet, but we'll figure it out later. And the last part I use on the steam piston is this white thing right here, and it's Teflon. Teflon is the same material used on non-stick pans in order to make the pan non-stick. It's very heat resistant and it's self-lubricating. So that's why it's used on non-stick pans. And that's exactly what we need for our steam piston. Something that will self-lubricate, meaning it can slide very easily, but it's also heat resistant since steam is so hot. So we use Teflon for the moving parts where the metal is going to move in order to create a good tight seal. But the Teflon that I ordered was a little bit too big. So I had to sand it down in order to make it fit within the brass tubing. And another thing is, it was also kind of high friction to begin with. So how did I solve this? I put the piston in a drill, and then I took the cylinder and I put the piston in the cylinder, and then I spun the drill. This allowed the piston to really spin at high RPM within the cylinder to reduce the friction that it created. And now I have an airtight seal with the valve cylinder. And I tested it by kind of blowing into the tube, and I couldn't feel any air coming out. Although my mouth probably doesn't have that much pressure of air going into it, it still gave me reassurance that I didn't screw up anywhere and I do have an airtight seal. And so now, the final part of this video, we're going to talk about the math behind it. But before we get into the math, if you made it to this part of the video, you probably like engineering. And so this video is also sponsored by me. I have my own engineering group chat, which is in the description below, and it's free. It's free to join until we hit 100 members. And we're at 80 members right now. So once we hit 100, I'm going to make it paid. So join right now while it's still free. And it's basically one big group chat of engineers where we talk about the projects we're working on right now. So if you're interested in it, look in the description and join it. It's very chill. It's nothing to stress about. It's not serious at all. And so don't feel pressured like you don't know what you're signing up for. It's just one big group chat if you have any questions. But that's basically it. And so let's get back to the video. And so the last part of this video we're going to talk about is the math behind it. I'm going to show you all the calculations I made in order to design the steam piston as, efficient as possible. And so let's go into the math, the actual thermodynamics behind the steam piston. So let's go to the computer. This is the math equations for our steam engine and MathCAD. So I use a program called MathCAD I use in the school, and I'm also using it for my steam engine in order to get all the math right. It's like a math Excel spreadsheet because you can kind of change the variables and you can see how the numbers change within the program. So it's very useful actually for solving math problems like this. So let's look at this. We have an estimated pressure. I think the pressure within the steam engine is going to be 60 psi. The diameter of this thing, the little actual piston, is 40 millimeter diameter. The rod that's going to be connected to the piston is 10 millimeter. And so this back surface area right here is 40 millimeters minus 10 millimeters, meaning there's a 30 millimeter diameter right here. And so that leads into our next section, which the S is the stroke length. So pretty much how the distance this thing is moving, that's the stroke length. N is RPM. So how fast, how many revolutions is this thing making per minute? Efficiency, that's just a guess. I think it's going to be roughly 50% efficient. And then we have, I think the steam entering the engine is going to be 500 Kelvin. And I think the steam leaving the engine is going to be 350 Kelvin. At least that is the hope. Okay. And so let's look at these equations now. So first we have to find the area. Area is pi r squared, or diameter squared times pi to the fourth. Okay. Very basic. The way this works is, so we call it D push. So this part of the piston right here is where the steam will push it to go backwards, and that's going to move the crankshaft backwards. The pull, the D pull, is this diameter where the steam's going to hit it and it's going to pull forward. And since this side has that little rod going through it, this diameter is naturally smaller, and so the diameter for the pull side will also naturally be smaller. And so we find the area of both of these, and we get that, and then we multiply the area times the pressure. So pressure is force per area. So if we multiply it, area times force per area, we get force, just total force. And so this steam will be pushing this front side with 500 newtons of force. And it's going to be pulling the backside with about 300 newtons of force. You can see right here. And so we can use this to get our power. And power is simply the force over a distance with a time unit attached to it. That's what power is. So if we push our cylinder back 60 millimeters with 500 newtons of force at 300 RPM, that gives us 16 watts of power. So if we do the same thing with the pull side, so if we pull the piston forward, that gives us about 10 watts of power. And so we can use this right here. We can add these two together, and then we can multiply it by my efficiency rating, which is 50%, and we can see what the predicted power should be, which is about 12 watts, which is what we were hoping for in the beginning. So now let's look at this little equation at the bottom. This is called the Carnot efficiency of a thermal engine. So in thermodynamics, there's this rule called the Carnot efficiency, saying a heat engine cannot be more efficient than 1 minus the low temperature over the high temperature. Exactly what I wrote here. So that's why I had these predicted temperatures right here. Meaning that if we put in 100 watts of heat energy into our steam piston, we would only get an absolute maximum of 30 watts out. No matter if we eliminate all friction, if we eliminate all air resistance or whatever, we can only get 30 watts out. And that's because of this equation right here. And so that tells me a little rough estimate of how efficient our thing could theoretically be. And it could theoretically be efficient of 30%, which is nothing. But that's about the same percentage as your car. So your car is only about 30% efficient, but at one point we had so much oil in the world that it was a no-brainer to make car engines out of heat engines, because we just had so much oil we didn't know what to do with. And plus, oil and gasoline holds like a lot of energy per gallon. So let me say this. Gasoline, I don't know if this is the exact numbers, but gasoline holds 1,000 watts per gallon. A car battery might hold 10 watts per pound or something like that. Gasoline is just so much more energy dense that even if it's significantly less efficient, it would still outperform electric cars because it's just so energy dense. At least that's how it was in the early 20th century when cars were first made. So that's why we went down the car route with heat engines instead of electricity. If you were wondering, because cars they're just not efficient at all. But in today's world, a electric car is like 90% efficient. Most of the electrical energy can be converted into motion, but electricity is still made with heat engines from a power plant. So is it really worth it? I don't know. But once all of electricity being produced is by a renewable resource, then electric car would be a no-brainer at that point. But that's a little far future talk. Kind of got a little off topic right there. But that's how this works. That's how the steam engine works. These are my equations. If you want to play around with this, you can. This is what I predict, and I really hope it's gonna be about. But I don't know. It might not. But maybe it will do better. I guess we'll have to see how it goes. But this is it right here. And so that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit about just steam engines in general. I hope I provided you some value within this 10-minute video and you didn't just waste your time. But if you have any questions, let me know. Please join the community. And thank you for watching. Next, or later this week, we will be going back to the computer. And I have a good episode for that coming out too. I'm very happy with it. So thank you for watching.